Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar about tools for collaborating online by Communications by Design. I'm Pete Grostic. I see some familiar names on the list here and even some familiar screenshots or pictures, profile pictures. So I'd like to start with just a bit of housekeeping. You noticed, I'm sure, that you entered the Zoom meeting and you're on mute and you're unable to unmute. Really, that's just so that we can efficiently go through the content. But if you've been on one of our earlier webinars, you'll know we actually have this double hosted. So my colleague, Amy Jimenez, is going to be looking at the chat and monitoring that. So if at any point you have a specific question or a question, for the good of the group, please post it there. I encourage you to post it to everyone, but you also could privately message Amy through that chat. If you're on a computer and you haven't used Zoom before, you'll find the chat toward the bottom in your tools. And if you're on a mobile device, you'll find that toward the top. So feel free to do that. And Amy will also have kind of a back channel going, so she'll let me know if there are any questions that I should address with the whole group. Okay, so please feel free to kind of be doing that throughout the presentation today. And also that this is being recorded as well. So no need really to take notes unless that's a mechanism for how you learn, and then please feel free. But this will be posted on our site that I'm about to show you in just a moment after we complete it. Okay, so I think I bought enough time for anybody that wanted to join that hasn't yet. We've got a nice group, so why don't we start with drawing your attention to the website that I just referenced. You can find it at bit.ly/teachhomehub. Got all sorts of resources there for teachers as far as teaching from home during this school shutdown. So, hope you're all doing well. It can be really overwhelming during this time, and we're really here to help you with that. So you'll find resources, strategies, ideas, content, but also at that page you can scroll down to the bottom of any page and quickly click on a virtual coach meeting with us. And we're running our virtual coaching office Monday through Friday until the end of May to help teachers. And so, please take advantage of that if you have specific questions. It's our job to find answers to your questions. So there really isn't a bad question. We'd really encourage you to take advantage of that. I also included this site in the email I sent earlier today when I invited you to this webinar. So you'll find that there as well. Okay, very quickly, we at CBD have really established 5 principles for remote learning that are really foundational to whatever we do. We had whole webinars on these principles, so I'm not going to go into any depth there. We've recorded those, and those you can find at the Teach Home Hub website if you want to watch those. But I just bring that to your attention because that really is foundational to even this session about tools for collaborating online. Specifically connection. There's lots of reasons to collaborate, but one is really to establish connection with people as well. So you see the other principles there. The other one I think I want to bring to the forefront is less is more. I'm going to be showing you 12 different kind of bins of tools for collaboration. I'm sure you'll be familiar with lots, but some might be new to you. This really isn't a time, we don't think, to introduce a lot of new tools to your students that you or they are not familiar with already. But it could be useful to introduce one new tool, right? Or maybe a tool or two for collaborating with colleagues. So just consider less is more as I bombard you with these tools, okay? Some things to consider. One of the reasons we're bringing you this session is because it's possible that some of you are becoming tired of the collaborating via reply all email. So there may be a better way for some of those types of collaborative conversations. But keep in mind, when we're talking about collaboration, it's not just teacher to student, it's also teacher to teacher. That's very, very important. It's also student to student. So some of these tools are going to be appropriate for teachers only. Others will be more appropriate for the student to teacher connection or student to student, and some obviously will span all of those. But just kind of keep that in mind, and I'll try to point that out as we get to them. You know, when we think about collaboration, there's a ton of overlap with communication. So, you know, for some of these, it might seem like, well, this is just a communication tool. Well, yeah, it is. But remember, when we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about, you know, communicating, working together to create something or to make something better. This kind of synthesis idea. And so, you know, even creating new meaning through discussion is really a good form of collaboration. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Okay, I also have these divided up between mostly synchronous strategies, things that can be done in at the same time, and then asynchronous strategies. Just noting that most of the synchronous strategies can also be asynchronous. You see some of the tools that I'll be highlighting during this webinar right there on the screen, and I'll reference a few others as well. Okay, so the first tool is kind of this video, or the first couple tools are this video conferencing idea, the mechanism that we're doing this webinar from right now. And the first one is Google Meet, and I don't want to, you know, go through the basics of any of these tools, but really try to give you some of the new features. I'm assuming most of us are familiar with Google Meet and Zoom and those things, but you may not know a couple of the features. And so with Google Meet, if you're using Google Classroom, you may have noticed this already, but you may not have. There's new integration with Google Classroom. Okay, so the GIF that you see on the screen there is showing you for each and every Google Classroom class that you have, you can go to settings. You can actually enable a Google Meet link that will then, you have the option of posting it to the banner on your class. You have to do that for each and every class if you want to do that. And there's good reasons that you may want to do that. So Google Meet, kind of absent this integration with Google Classroom, is great. Every, you know, Google Calendar meeting you set up, you can add conferencing through Google Meet, or Hangouts Meet as it shows up in the Google Calendar. And that's great. Those links that you see there, those stay live really indefinitely. So anybody on that calendar invite can go into that meeting, provided they're in your same domain, and they can be there without you there. The same is true after you leave, teachers, that, you know, students could go back into that meeting after the fact without you there. Now, we know our students are going to be acting with the utmost respect for each other at all times, and we need not monitor every move. But there could be a reason that we don't want students to have a school-generated meeting when we're not monitoring it, right? So there's a couple ways around it. The easiest way is this Google Classroom integration. If you're already using Google Classroom, I encourage you to use your Google Meets from now on through Google Classroom. Because what you can do is you can go back to settings after your meeting is done, and you can essentially just reset your Google Meeting link, and that automatically voids the previous link, okay? You can also make it not visible to students on the banner anymore as well. So that's a really good safeguard to having students go back into your meeting after you've left and do whatever it is they want to do there, okay? The other way you can do it if you're not in Google Classroom, and my colleague Amy let us know about this, is you can nickname your meeting. You can then ensure that you're the last one to leave, okay? And that way, when you leave and they've left, with that meeting nicknamed, that will be closed to them for the future. Okay, I just got a note from Amy. Hang tight. Yes. Okay. Students can't enter a Google Meeting without the teacher if they use the Google Classroom link. So you shouldn't have to change that link after the fact. Yes. Good. Excellent. Thank you, Amy. Okay. So that's Google Meet. Great tool for this video conferencing. There are some things about Google Meet that aren't great, to be quite frank, and I'm glad to tell you about those too. Currently there's no mute to all feature, so you really have to depend on your students to mute themselves if you want to bring them any sort of information. So some of those controls aren't great, although with knowing Google, they might do that next week or even tomorrow. Also, another feather in its cap is it's really widely known to be FERPA compliant, so it's not going to market any educational records. All right, the next one is Zoom, and I know Zoom, some schools are just not allowing teachers to use Zoom. I understand that. Perhaps they're letting teachers use it to collaborate with each other. I don't know. But just to bring you a couple features with Zoom, I thought it could be neat to try out their breakout rooms if we can make that happen. So what I'm going to do right now, just very quickly, and I'm interested to see how this will go actually from a recording standpoint too, is I'm going to divide you into a couple different breakout rooms. You should see a little pop-up on your screen to join the breakout room. Go ahead and do that. Just want to let you kind of experience this, then we'll talk about it. But you'll join that room, and then I'll close it fairly quickly, and you'll come back to this room. All right. Okay. So we have a few people that are still coming back to this main room. All right, almost done. It'll dump the rest back in just a few seconds. All right, so I should have everybody back now. So anyway, you should have seen that you were in a breakout room. I just did 2 so that it was easy, but you could have as many as you wanted. And this could be great for the next Zoom staff meeting that your principal does, if that's what they're using, to do some real conversation, which, as we know, is really difficult to have with really anything more than 4 or 5 people at a time. So that is free with the free version of Zoom. It just needs to be turned on in settings, but you can do those breakout rooms, and then whoever's managing can send messages. Those of you that were in the rooms already, you probably got the message that popped up on your screen from me. I, as the host, then can visit the individual rooms. So You know, if you are using this with students, that's a great way to kind of monitor what's going on in those rooms as well. So anyway, just thought I'd show you that if you weren't familiar with it. All right. Also Zoom, we know that Zoom bombing and hacking has been a big thing. You know, they have the waiting room feature that you're probably familiar with now to kind of get past that, password protecting as well. And FERPA, which is all about, again, kind of saving educational records and mining student data. You know, they're claiming to be FERPA compliant. There is no FERPA certification process, so there's no stamp of approval from an organization. So anyway, Zoom, you know, again, could be restricted by your district. I totally understand that. But if it's not, it could be useful, especially that breakout room feature. Okay, the next few are really about kind of options for synchronous communication that is written. Okay, so Google Docs is really great um, for kind of collecting information in real time from students. One thing to consider if you're going to have students writing inside of a Google Doc at the same time is to really use a table. I like to use tables because then it's, you know, students are less likely to write on top of each other, and it can get a little crazy when you have, you know, 10 or more people writing in the same document. With tables where you have a sufficient amount of space as the teacher already there for students, you don't get that kind of weird sensory experience when the document's moving down and up on you and you're not really sure where you are. So consider that. But also asynchronously, you know, Google Docs is a great way to collaborate. And some teachers, some students aren't really aware that using the comments feature is a great way to suggest. You can be in suggestion mode and comment, and then you know, the owner of the document can accept your comment or not. But also you can assign things that way as well, just by typing in the email address of the person you want to assign that to. And so I'm kind of showing that in the GIF on the screen right now, that those things can be assigned. There's also a chat feature within Google Docs that can be helpful for that synchronous collaboration as well. So Google Docs is a great way to collaborate synchronously. Another one that I think is kind of a hidden gem is Socrative. You can do this synchronously, and one of the big advantages of Socrative is it doesn't require that email login, right? There is a way to do it that way, but you just need to give your students a room ID so you don't get into that data mining of student data thing that we're so worried about with remote education. So, you know, you have a prompt, give out your room ID, you say it's going to be available from 9:30 to 10 a.m. You're there to monitor it. Gives you some things to do as a teacher too, where you can kind of filter answers, you can send out exit tickets at the end of your session. But it can be a nice way to kind of collect some information in real time from students. And of course, your learning management system is another great thing to use, and it can be done synchronously. Something like Google Classroom, you can have a discussion post. Schoology and SeeSaw, same thing, and you can have these kind of synchronous discussions, written word discussions in real time if you'd like to. Of course, they can also be done asynchronously, and that might be a better method. But there are ways to do it with learning management systems where it can be more or less synchronous. Okay, possibly a tool you've heard of, maybe haven't used. This is most definitely just teacher to teacher. But if you are becoming a little tired of the constant emails, I can certainly understand that. You're probably getting dozens of emails a day. I am too, but Slack is a way for you and your either small group of grade level or content area teachers, or even if you want to go big, you can go even at the school level or district level with Slack, where I'll just say from our perspective, my organization, we went to Slack pretty quickly after school shut down and we all started working from home. And we just hardly ever need to email each other anymore. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say that out loud, but we just don't email anymore. And we collaborate constantly, all the time, every single day. What we can do with Slack is we can create topics, okay? And those topics can be, they can be private, where you're only inviting certain people to those topics. They can certainly be open to everybody that's invited to that kind of Slack group, and anything in between. So you've got these different topics, and so you don't get into the situation that you would with a group text, for example, where the topic shifts, but you want to contribute to a previous topic, and you end up having this big jumbled mess that nobody wants a part of. So it's not like a group text message. It's more categorized than that and threaded than that. You can also private message. You can post pictures. You can connect different apps like Google Drive where you can post documents. There's lots of things available in Slack, and it really is a great way to collaborate teacher to teacher if you need to do that, and kind of getting away from the constant ping of emails. We've loved it. It's also on mobile as well, and you can really turn it off as needed. So I'll just pause my notifications for a certain amount of time if I need to get some work done, and I just don't hear anything that's going on there until I choose to go back in. So it really gives you a lot of features, and all for free. So I encourage you to check that out if that sounds interesting. Okay, another synchronous strategy that I use with certain groups of people. I've had one group of people that I've used this with for the last 4 years, actually, and that's Voxer. If you haven't heard of Voxer, Voxer is a lot like your standard messaging app. So you can text, you can post pictures, you can post videos, but it has the added feature of doing kind of this audio recording, okay? And when you're collaborating with people, we know just messages, emails, the written word, it's really hard sometimes to get tone. It's hard to get, certainly hard to get certain meanings from what is just written. Whereas if you can hear someone's voice, you can communicate a lot more. So Voxer is a great thing to do if you have a group maybe of colleagues. You could use this with older students as well, as long as they're 13 years of age or older and can create accounts. But to hear each other's voice is an upgrade in collaboration than just typing, right? So Voxer is really great. If you haven't used it before, again, caveats apply with trying new tools here, but it's fairly simple and allows you to hear people's voices, which is really nice. Okay, moving into some more asynchronous strategies. So when you get into thinking about video, really kind of has to be asynchronous unless you're doing the video conferencing, right? So, but we do think that's a great way to communicate. So not only then can you hear my tone, but you can see my mannerisms, and you can convey a lot more meaning that way. So considering screencasting. So Screencastify, Loom, and Screencast-O-Matic, those are kind of the big three for creating screencasts, both for you and your students. It's a great way to do your instructional videos. It's a great way to have students kind of post work back to you. And until I think the end of May, and I think this is a small enough group that I'm okay giving you this. I'm not really sure who they're giving this out to, but Screencastify is giving you a free pro upgrade using the code you see on the screen, cast_COVID. If you go to your Screencastify account, they'll give you a free pro upgrade. What that means is your videos can be longer than 5 minutes. You can download them as MP4s, a few other features that are kind of nice. So maybe consider writing that down or taking a screenshot so you have that. Also, if you haven't tried Loom, you might want to try Loom. Very similar to Screencastify. You can download MP4s on the free version. They'll give you 30 days for free right now of their pro version. And it has some different features as far as having you on the screen, your face on the screen during your screencast than does Screencastify. So it's worth checking out, I think, to see which one you like better. Okay, just pausing there to see if there's anything from Amy. Looks like we're doing good. Okay. Another one with video, of course, is Flipgrid. If you haven't used Flipgrid, this could be a decent tool to introduce, even if it's new. If you're thinking about maybe one new tool for students, and it's especially good, I would say, if you don't have a learning management system running in your classroom. My daughter's teacher, where I send my daughter to school, didn't have a learning management system running, has decided to try Flipgrid, and I'm really glad that she did, because what it becomes then is kind of this hub of communication. If you're familiar with Flipgrid, you'll know teachers have tons of controls over the videos that are posted. It's a private group, it's not public unless you make it public. And you can moderate so that no student's video is posted before you view it. You can really lock it down if you want to. So there's some safety features. But it's really nice for students to kind of connect asynchronously, right? If they're not going to be able to connect via video conferencing for whatever reason, Flipgrid's a nice little hub where all those videos are there. You can delete, you can freeze certain grids, you can add new ones, you can create mixtapes, which is essentially taking videos from a few different grids and putting them together. So, and in addition, it works on really all devices. So if you have students that, might have to borrow a parent's device, this is an app on a phone, and the login's super easy too, just with a code. So Flipgrid's nice. This one might be new, and I don't even think it's rolled out yet, but Screencastify is apparently trying to compete somewhat with Flipgrid. So there's a new feature called Screencastify Submit, and you can see a little video of that on the screen, where teachers can essentially create a link that they can send out via email, messaging, whatever, to students. Students then take that link and then create videos, and they're essentially submitting those videos in response to a prompt, right, from the teacher. It's new. It's going to be free. They were going to roll it out in June, but because of school closures, have decided to roll it out now. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be available. Maybe it already is since I last looked. And I don't know much else about it. I don't know if students will easily be able to watch the videos, or if it's really just for teachers to look at it. But I thought I'd bring that to your attention. If that's, if you've been using Screencastify, if that's interesting to you, you might want to look into that. Screencastify Submit. Okay, so Trello is the next asynchronous strategy for collaboration. This was designed as a project management tool in industry. And I've seen quite a few teachers actually adopt Trello for specific projects, typically with older students, one little caveat there. But it's a great tool for complex projects. And so I'm trying to empathize with all my teachers out there, where trying to do this remote learning thing in sync with other grade levels and content areas in your school really is a complex project. Trying to understand what everybody else is doing, when we know some of our families, they might be a family of 4, they've got kids in all different grades, maybe different schools in the district even. This is a complex problem. We're trying to be as kind and caring as we can to these families. We don't know what they've gone through. Maybe parents have lost their jobs. Maybe parents haven't lost their jobs and they're trying to figure out how to work from home and parent and do all of that, which is, as we all know, very, very challenging. So this is a complex problem, and Trello is a really great hub for those kind of complex problems. Basically, the structure is pretty simple to explain. You get, as you can see on the screen, you get to categorize by different lists. Okay, so this could be by subject area, by grade level, math, reading, science. And then within each list, you can add cards. And those cards can be anything within that. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, I'm just giving you an example. Those cards can then be opened up, and you can create to-do lists within the card. So I'll post this, you post that. You can link with Google Drive. You can add photos, PDFs, any document, websites, pictures, um, lots and lots of different integrations with Trello. And then those cards, not only can you check off your to-dos, those cards can be archived when that's complete. They can be dragged and dropped between lists. So it can be a really great way to kind of visualize everything that's going on in a complex project. Now that's at the teacher level. Like I mentioned earlier, I've had plenty of teachers decide to use Trello for projects with their students. And so, if you're trying to do some remote learning PBL, for example, Trello could be a nice way to manage all of that. And again, if it's a new tool, don't forget what I said earlier, introducing a new tool can be tricky. So you may not want to do that now, but it certainly could be something, depending on your situation, that could make things a little bit more efficient for you. And the last one I had to end with SeeSaw. SeeSaw I could have lumped in with the LMS, but I find that SeeSaw gets pegged as just a K2 learning management system. And honestly, I think right now for anybody that doesn't have a learning management system going, it could be the tool to use, to be honest with you, at any grade level. The journal feature, I think, one, would really help students kind of connect with each other. They can make videos that they can look at, they can record their voice, lots of great features as far as connection, but also it's another way to kind of have a hub. You want to link out to Flipgrid, you want to link out to certain websites, that can all be done through SeeSaw as well. But I just love how it threads together pictures, text, videos, even having students kind of screencast themselves. And then there's tons of K-12 activities already built in. So if you're a teacher that's been struggling with, what am I going to have students actually do from home, around this concept, this topic, SeeSaw's got lots of options for you already built in their activities library. So, you see on the screen, the journals have these little animal icons next door. That's just for K2. Once you get beyond second grade, those icons are replaced with the initials of the student, or you could even have the student's picture. So it's not just for K2, just a little plug for SeeSaw there. It's a great tool for all grades. All right. One last reminder that less is more. I mean, I just threw a bunch of stuff at you, but really choose one. If you found something new that you liked, investigate one. We're all overwhelmed. Everybody's overwhelmed. Not a great time to introduce a lot of new things. Focus on those engaging activities, depth, and really trying to get students to process their experience right now. Hopefully they'll never have to go through this ever again, and kind of marking what this experience was like through school could be a really great thing. So having them write about it, talk about it, could be great. And then lastly, of course, please come to us for support as you need it. We're gonna keep offering these webinars. I know some topics will be useful to you and others won't. So pick and choose as you will, but we're here to help. We've got the website, Teach Home Hub. We've got virtual coaching Monday through Friday through the end of May for everybody. You can email, you can text or call. We're just here for you. It's our job. So, help us do our job by helping you, and hopefully we can get through this all together. I'm going to pause there and see if there's anything on the chat that Amy thinks I should address with the whole group. Just hang tight one second. Okay, she says we're good in the chat. All right, so thanks everybody. I'm going to hang out here. So is Amy, but about 34 minutes. I'm going to pause the recording here. We'll post it to the website, and you are free to go. Move on with your day. We really hope you're staying safe, staying healthy. Happy that you were able to join us today. Oh, which app is compared to Pear Deck? Just got a quick question. All right. I don't think I mentioned an app compared to Pear Deck, unless I misspoke or I blacked out for a moment. But I know Nearpod has some Pear Decky features. So if you're looking for something like Pear Deck, you could look at that. But no, Pear Deck's really good. I mean, so I would look into that unless there's a reason you can't use it. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. And Amy and I will be here as long as need be, but thanks everybody.